Welcome back to the Fanspeak Network, and another episode of the Sibling Showdown, the Underdog Battle Royale edition. As you can see, we already have it pulled up because we're already excited to go through it. I'm, of course, joined by my sibling, my brother, Steve. We're trying to keep up with the NFL trade deadline, but we've got to focus on Battle Royale too. We got to start turning our attention to Week 9. Steve, how was your Week 8? And are you excited about the Week 9 slate for Battle Royale?
Yeah, week 8 wasn't as strong. Just just didn't have the right combos. Had a little too much Lamar last week, but actually don't mind going back to him this week. But yeah, I think this week with the buys back in play, and then Europe game Germany, right. There's definitely it's a much more condensed slate, which I think does help to focus who we should be targeting.
Yeah, to your point, it's really interesting. I did an early look show earlier today, and it is so fascinating that because we start the day with Chiefs Miami, end the day with Cincinnati Buffalo, it's like fireworks to start and end the day. But boy, the main slate is, kind of tame, obviously, with totals mostly in the 30s and low 40s. The one that sticks out, of course, is Dallas Philly at around, I believe, 46.5. So, that is the highest total by far. There's a couple others in the low 40s, but we can talk through that. Are there any other, is that a game that you're going to try to target? And are there any other macro strategy, things that you're looking at as we go through? Obviously, we'll be talking through player rankings once we jump in the draft.
Yeah, so I think it's that, and then the other side of it is obviously we have some more quarterbacks getting injured. Kirk Cousins, obviously, Matt Stafford. Even if he plays, how much do you trust him? And we have a lot of other quarterbacks remaining injured. Whether Daniel Jones is playing or not, we'll have to see. Whether already they're saying Justin Fields is not playing, so Chicago, that's not a great spot. So just a lot of spots already that just don't look great because of injury. So I think it's, like you said, it's the Philly Dallas. And then it's Baltimore, Seattle. I mean, those are the two ones where it's like these are two offenses that are relatively healthy, that have good enough pieces that we could actually get enough fireworks to be excited about.
Yes. And do you have any takes on Indianapolis? I think that's interesting against that Carolina defense. I still need to watch that Houston game back and figure out how the hell did the Texans offense not get there against that Panthers defense?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Indy definitely could do some work against Carolina. It is, in Carolina, so it's not in the dome. But as long as the weather's good, which it typically should be in Carolina, I don't have a problem in this type of game. I still think Carolina defense, and we'll see. They might subtract today at the trade deadline. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case or not. So. They could end up missing an extra piece or two by the end of today.
Okay. Well, we do need to jump in a draft. I've got a live show at 3:30. The NBA NBA betting card show. That's every Tuesday at 3:30. The NFL betting card show live every Thursday at 3. And then, of course, we have this show every week up on the Fanspeak Network. So be sure to like this episode and subscribe to the Fanspeak Network so you know when all these shows go live. Of course, check out all our articles and content on fanspeak.com, all free. Our NBA projections from Spread and Tyler, they're awesome. They're absolutely free up on the sports betting tab. NFL betting card, NFL betting card, NFL projections from Spread and Tyler up on Fanspeak for free. So a lot of free content and betting projections all available on fanspeak.com. Be sure to check that out. Also, while I have this up, Underdog, if you're new to it and you haven't tried out Battle Royale, new to Underdog, obviously Underdog is awesome for best ball, but it's awesome for games like this, like Battle Royale in season. And it has all the different sports as well. Use code Fanspeak. You get 100% deposit bonus up to $100 if you are not on Underdog yet. So Steve, with that said, since I do need to jump on a show, let's rip a draft, because the beauty of the Battle Royale, you can rip a draft really fast, and it's super fun. It's 6 rounds because you're just filling quarterback, and we are waiting for 3P quarterback, running back, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. We like to use that on the running back position, unless it naturally just lends itself to getting a 3rd receiver. And so you're drafting, 6 rounds, 6 players, they all play. And then you're in a draft with just 5 others. So it goes really fast, and that makes it really, really fun. So we are waiting on 2 more people, and then we can get started. While we are waiting, let's talk through the rankings here. Obviously, based on the kind of, like you said, the landscape of the slate, The highest running back is Alvin Kamara, of course, getting all that volume, both running game and targets. He got there again, of course, last week. And of course, he got a good matchup against Chicago. Should be starting here soon. And then, of course, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, had the 2 alpha receivers in that high total game. And we have pick number 1. So we really need to discuss this. So this draft is starting in 1 minute. I just mentioned the top 3. Then, of course, you've got the alpha, quarterbacks. So, how do you see the rankings? What do you see? Because we're not going to, let's take a quick look at the board. We have pick 1, but then we won't pick again until 12 and 13. Yeah. So what do you think we prioritize here?
I really think you prioritize Kamara. I think there's a big gap between him and the other running backs just because their offenses, Saquon's great and has potential great matchup, but we just don't know how good the Giants offense it will be, especially if Daniel Jones is banged up. I mean, if they're going with DeVito, the undrafted rookie or whatever.
Quick question though. I got to ask a quick question because we'll be on the clock in 12 seconds. I mean, shouldn't we prioritize AJ Brown and get an exposure to that one of the alpha receivers?
The thing is, I just think overall we're going to see more receivers get 20+ points, even if it's guys lower. Like an Amari Cooper could get 20+ points in that Cleveland-Arizona matchup. Zay Flowers, Baltimore, Seattle, Terry McLaurin, Washington versus New England. Nico Collins. I mean, we saw what Gabe Davis and Steph Diggs and company and Shakir were doing last Thursday against Tampa. So
okay, well, if you watched us with 5 seconds left, I would rather do AJ Brown, but I'll defer to you. We did Kamara, so we don't always agree on Sibling Showdown.
I just think running back's a little weak. I mean, obviously, if we get news like, for instance, that say Jonathan Taylor's out and Zach Moss is the only guy there, or that Kareem Hunt is going to get a full workload in Cleveland, but there's just a lot of split backfields. Some of the top guys are just attached to terrible offenses or in terrible spots. Like Kenneth Walker going up against the Baltimore defense, Pollard going up against the Philly defense, Swift going up against the Dallas defense. They're just not the greatest spots, to be honest.
Okay. All right. So it's more like the position scarcity more than, because I just really feel like an AJ Brown can obviously score more than a Kamara on the slate, and in the context of if it's more pass catching, though I know he's been getting the rushing volume too. So we'll be up at 12 and 13. What are you going to want to prioritize there? Are you going to want to prioritize? Because if we look at the board, Lamar and Hurts already went. So are you going to want to prioritize like a Dak to make sure you have a piece?
I would like, if Dak's there, I think you take Dak.
Okay, let's cue that up just to have. In his pick, he is right around the ADP. Again, we've talked about that. We like doing 2 running back filling the flex. We don't, ADP is not gospel. You go with your rankings because ultimately it's whoever is highest. I think that in a game that we think that's going to be a potential shootout, I really would like one of those quarterbacks. Hurts is gone. I say we attack Dak here. And whether we stack him or not, we could look to stack him with Ferguson or, so I think the priority here is Dak. If he is gone, what do you want to do?
Well, I think Thielen's definitely fine. I mean, the volume was still there. He just didn't get a touchdown last week.
Well, the person ahead of us has a quarterback, so we should be good.
Yeah. Well, we need to make 2 picks. So
right. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so they took Jonathan Taylor. I was going to say we could take Jonathan Taylor, hope he's in, and then obviously with this situation, you slot in backups to slot in so you would go. Okay, first of all, we're going to grab Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And then obviously CeeDee Lamb obviously went right. Yeah, he went 4. Thank you. And then what about Swift or Jacobs?
I actually like Jacobs. You could also do Pollard, but I like Jacobs.
I like getting the second running back here. Do you trust that offense? That offense looked terrible.
I don't particularly trust it, but the Giants did just trade away their best defensive tackle.
Okay, well, Jacobs,
so that's a plus. And
so you just have Jacobs score, just outright scoring more than Swift or Pollard, because I do like getting more pieces of that game. I just think that
I mean, the Cowboys and the Eagles defensive lines, we have seen some teams get the better of them, but for the most part, they're two of the best defensive lines in the league. And I just think that it's tougher. I mean, Pollard, I think, is a little better because we've seen his receiving window, ability help him a bit more. But yeah, it's yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I really like Mike Evans in that matchup.
Yeah, I just started queuing because we're going to be up in 3 picks back to back, and then it'll go around and we'll have the last pick of the draft. So we're up at 24 and 25, and then our last pick will be 36. So yeah, I think here, as much as I'd love to, stack Ferguson, obviously I think getting 2 good receivers here makes sense. I mean, I don't want to attach myself to a bad quarterback with Amari Cooper. Because Evans just went.
I don't mind Zay Flowers. I mean, this is, I think, just a great matchup for him.
Would you go Flowers over Metcalf?
Yeah.
I'm just looking down. I mean, obviously Addison, we love Addison, but with such quarterback situation, I like Downs, but that's further down. That would be if like you were going. So we'll grab Flowers. I like McLaurin. The pass rate over expectation is very high for Washington. They're throwing an insane clip, and he is, while it is distributed more than we like, he is getting a lot of it. Yeah. So I'd like to lean McLaurin here.
No, I agree. He should have had 2 touchdowns.
He should have had 2 touchdowns, and he should have had a few more catches. I'm a diehard McLaurin fan, but he dropped a couple that kind of should have had there at the end. So I think he left some on the table, so to speak. Okay, so we have 1 more pick left, and that if Ferguson's there, I'd like to take him. But if not, it's obviously a tight end. We'll take another tight end best available. So what other tight ends do you want to queue up? Obviously, Bride has the volume. I mean, I'd say Pitts and Schultz are in play. What are your thoughts?
Just scroll below Schultz.
I mean, Logan Thomas is fine, but I like the others more. Right? Yeah. We just took McLaurin. Hunter Henry's fine.
I was actually going to say Hunter Henry. I mean, he's facing the Washington defense that just traded away their two top pass rushers. So,
well, I think if as you can see, if you can see the projections, they're roughly right around the same. They're all projected for per the Underdog projections, literally 6 to actually Kyle Pitts actually stands out. So, do you have that higher? Like, they have him much higher than the rest. They have him at 7.9, and they have the other guys around 6, and then Ferguson and McBride at 6.7, 6.8 respectively.
Yeah, no, I would rather just lean a little bit more into the matchup. I mean, a lot of that is just based on, what their air yards and stuff like that, and that's great. But it's like,
so when you're leaning into the matchup, you're leaning on Ferguson.
Ferguson, that's more the correlation. Yeah. The matchup would be Henry would be my number 2 option.
Right. Okay, so McBride just went. He was another one, just had a great week last week, has all the volume now.
Yeah.
So obviously if Ferguson's there, we're going to lean into correlation and grab him. We're up in 2. And then I will have to jump off right after this. So again, he just went. Okay. How many targets did Pitts get last week? 5.
Only 5, yeah.
I mean, if Heineke plays, though, I kind of like that a little bit more, don't you?
Yeah, maybe, but I just don't know. I mean, they're still a run-first team.
Okay, so you really want to go Henry over Pitts?
And the other thing is the Patriots lost multiple receivers. I mean, they should be throwing a ton to Henry.
That's a good point. All right, so we will grab Hunter Henry to round it out. Then has like a little skinny stack there. It says it just must not refresh it. Yeah. Okay, so I just need to do a quick summary, and then we will get out of here. But again, check out all our free content. Steve will have an Underdog rankings article up on Wednesday. Check out all our free content, all our free betting cards, projections on fanspeak.com, and be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate you joining us. So we ended the draft with excuse me, let me find it. From the one spot, Alvin Kamara, Dak Prescott, Josh Jacobs, Zay Flowers, Terry McLaurin. And we wanted Ferguson to correlate. We were not able to get that. So we got a little skinny stack with Terry and Hunter Henry there to round it out. So I'm happy with it. Any final thoughts, Steve? Because I do need to jump on another show.
No. I think just, this could be a week with a lot of fun, especially with some of these trades. But yeah, just keep an eye on the injury reports for especially some of those running back situations.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we thank you guys so much for joining us. Good luck in week 8. Have some good drafts. Hopefully we see you in the lobbies, and we will see you next time.